From the broadcasting station of Lagos Television and across the world, wherever you are watching us, welcome again today on Issues and Trends, where we'll take a critical look, analyzing trends as it concerns the socio-economic and political setting, socio-cultural setting as well of the Nigerian state. Today, again, like we always do on the program, bringing you a quality guest to speak on this program. We'll be discussing with yet another distinguished Nigerian whose pedigree and profiling speaks volume of his personality, his commitment to duty, and of course his concern, and of course the role he has played so far in the growth and development of the Nigerian state. I will be introducing my guests when we come back after this time out. Thanking you for staying with us. We'll be right back after this time. Welcome back. My guest today, at one time, was a strong, committed, dedicated member of the Lagos State Public Service from 1966 to 1991, when he rose from the position of a clerk to becoming a permanent secretary in the Lagos State Public Service. He was equally at another time the general manager of the Public Works Corporation, where we see this corporation by virtue of what they have laid out as a commitment of a legacy, the responsibility for the construction, as we speak today, of over 22,000 classrooms, 10,000 housing schemes, and several roads and unit construction in Lagos State between 1979 to 1984. He was at one time again a distinguished senator of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, representing the Lagos East Senatorial District. And aside that, he equally served the nation, the fatherland, as a Honorable Minister of Works in the Federal Capital of Nigeria. He also served as the Pro-Chancellor in the Federal University of Agriculture in Abeokuta. He's a legal practitioner by his professional calling, and today is also a member of the Government Advisory Council, GAC, in Lagos State, and a party chieftain of the All Progressives Congress, APC, in Nigeria. Please join me to say a big welcome to distinguished Senator Kingsley Adesheye Ogunlewe. We say a very big welcome, sir. Thank you.
It's my pleasure to be here.
For the time to have you today.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
Your foray in the politics of Nigeria cannot be underestimated when we look at the role, when we look at all that you have also played, the role you've played, the responsibilities you've been assigned with, and of course your involvement in the entire equation of the calculation of how Nigeria is being governed today. And if today someone said to you that we are not where we should be today as a corporate entity called the Nigerian state, would you agree with that?
Of course I will. Particularly those who designed our constitution were military people. Although they allowed civilians to participate, but they had their own concept of Nigeria, centralized government, being military people. And it has been hindrance to our national development, the type of constitution we operate.
That is to say, you speak of the present unitary constitution,
yes,
or kind of centralized
constitution? It is too centralized, it is too unitary. And unfortunately for us, it's been unbundled gradually. Maybe we'll get a perfect one or a near perfect one in future. Until that is done, you will see assignments that normally should have been conducted by local government and state are being done by the federal government. The level of concentration, the quantum of funding that is available at the federal level, you can see it is really not allowing the Nigeria to develop as a nation. How fast we would have developed if we had a constitution that is federal in nature, that gives more powers to the state and less to the federal government. Federal government doesn't need those powers at all. Because if you centralize power, Nigeria is so big, the population is so huge, for you to say you are going to be the only one to determine the development of such a wide nation. And it's a problem. Another problem is the departure from the parliamentary system we are all used to presidential, dictatorial system of government. For underdeveloped country, is a lot of hindrance. Because if you look at elections, executive who are responsible actually for development of the nation, they are not elected. They are not representing the people. You only elect two people, the governor and the deputy, the president and the vice president, in executive capacity to determine the future of the generality of Nigeria. That, to my mind, is not the democracy we are used to. When we were younger, we were used to parliamentary system, parliamentary debate. You know, people representing a community, a constituency, debating about that constituency in parliament, in executive capacity. But now they are only selected, and they don't seem to have any constituency. So they are not accountable to the electorate. So how can they know what the electorate wants? And it's a real problem, and we must sit down and address it. Let me give you an instance. Normally, all policies must be policy of the party. But what do we have now? The president, the vice president, or the governor will get into office. And the governor or the president will now try to formulate, or the minister will formulate policy for the party. But he is not even a member of the party. When they were campaigning, he was not there. He doesn't know what the president, when he was campaigning, promised Nigerians. But he's the minister. And you are now allowing him to determine the policy of the party. So the secretariat of each political party must do more, like Awolowo was doing. They have research department. They incorporate the intellectuals, the academia, into policy formulation system. People who have been on research, they've done a lot of research. They will write paper on policy of the government. And that is when the government, the party, will now appraise it and give it out to the minister as the policy of the party. But now it is the minister that will determine the policy of the party. The party doesn't know anything about. It was not part of the campaign team. It was not part of the promise. So how do we now formulate policy? So what I am advocating is for party secretariat to take additional responsibility of research and policy making to assist Mr. President. Or Mr. President could form small committee himself to formulate policy. Don't allow the minister, who has no connection with the constituency, to formulate policy for the party. That's a distortion there.
Okay, we know that in a democratic setting, much as we have the shortcomings of the experiences we've seen, gravitating from regionalism after the departure of the colonialists to the parliamentary, which was what played out, that we all saw each region trying to, showcase, exhibit, development respectively, a very competitive development, to what we have seen as presidential, to the unitary, to all of this we have experienced that you have highlighted. But one thing that is common when we look at the playing of these scenarios is that somehow, some way, either by extension or by direct intervention, the connect of representation still plays out indirectly. And what I'm trying to say is, democracy gives room for representation in governance. But today we even find out that even representatives, given the failure of what you've just said now, or what should have been appropriate to do to complement what government is doing. But how about where representatives who should represent are not also representing them, the interest of the people the way they should be represented in either as a legislature or either as a chairman of a local government or otherwise? What do you say to that?
You know, I've been privileged to be part of the legislature, the Senate. And the function of the Senate is lawmaking, not execution of the law. No matter how brilliant you are in the Senate, the best you can do is to pass law. How many laws are even being implemented by the presidency? So that is the departure. And there is no room to debate the policy of the president because the president is not a member of parliament. Whatever you decide, whatever, how much robust your debate is at the National Assembly, to my mind, it has very little effect on the running of the government. Because the ministers, they didn't participate in the campaign. So when the senator is talking about his constituency, or member of the House of Rep, or even member of the House of Assembly, who went on campaign to tell his people what he was going to do after getting into office. He gets there, he even talk at the parliament, at the National Assembly or the House of Assembly as sessions. But how would that one affect
the common man?
The common man. How would that affect the executive? The commissioner or the minister was not there when he was campaigning. He doesn't know what you are talking about. Then you now have to pass a law for the minister or the commissioner to implement. But it was not part of your campaign.
So are you saying here, sir, that implementing effectively the policy thrust of a party is what will help efficient quality growth and development in governance and national development?
Yes, it's for the party to take responsibility for formulating the policy of the party, not the minister. They should have research department in their party secretariat. But the party will now run. They talk about primaries, congresses. They talk about elections. You don't hear about the party again after elections, after primaries. Whereas the party is the person voted for, is the institution that got the vote of the people, not the personality. But the party is not reflecting their policy to aggregate it at the party level and say, like industrial policy, this is where we want to go as a party, or education policy. It is not for the minister to tell you the policy of the party on education.
But someone will want to say to you, sir, that before a minister was appointed as a minister in a structural system of government that we run, some will say that they also look at the representation of which state he or she comes from to aggregate that in the federal cabinet office so that every state within the components of the federated state is seen as being represented in the broader government structure, so that that minister or minister of state in whatever capacity is seen to be representing a party membership. If I'm wrong, please correct me, before they are appointed. So by extension, it is expected that they should know what the party manifesto or policy thrust of what the party is to drive should mean to them. And as technocrats, whether as a legal practitioner like you are, to be appointed the Attorney General, or maybe an accountant or someone who is financially a financial guru to be Minister of Finance, they should be able to articulate the view or the position of the party they represent in that execution of their policies.
You know, a person who has grown to that level has the concept of life as a capitalist, or a welfareist? Am I there to serve the people, or am I there to make money? What is his background? What is his disposition to life? Which school of thought does he belong to? There are people who are ultra conservative. And when we are talking about progression, when we're talking about progressive policy, it's at a loss. There are people who are welfare people who want the greatest good for the greatest number. Their own concept of life is different from a capitalist. Somebody, money is so important to another personality that don't mind. Once I have the money, I have everything. There are other people who say, once I have the people, I have everything. So the concept of the personality is so important. Look at the area of education. If you put somebody who is a totally progressive person, who wants everybody to be educated, his concept of education will be different. But a conservative person whose background, whose development has been conservative, not everybody should have access to education. Education is a privilege. Education is for the few. Education, you don't need to carry everybody along. Okay, what do you do with that kind of person? And it is affecting the policy of a political party. If the political party does not take up the responsibility to prepare a policy and give it to the minister should not be want to prepare a policy because his own background may be different. So you will be talking about something progressive, but the concept of the minister is different from your own.
So agreeing now that we are not where we should be today as a country.
No, we are too far away. Countries that were at par with us 20 years ago, 40 years ago. And you know, when we were younger, and you went to buy a Chinese product, it's something that is unusual. They will ask you, Chinese. But where are we today? Yeah. There are so many other countries that are far ahead of us today that you cannot imagine. When we were younger, can you believe Indians were even the principal of our schools? They were teaching us sciences. But the Indians have gone back home to develop their country. No. So what are we? And we are not playing our statistics enough.
When you say we are not playing our statistics enough as a nation, what do you mean?
Okay. 1.9 million students, right, are sitting for JAM now. Right? What is the plan for them? 1.9 million. And the space available is only 20%. So what do you do as a nation? Where is your plan? Where is your policy to accommodate everybody? Let me give you it's so worries me. 350,000 students apply to read medicine. 350,000. Right? Over 500,000 apply to read engineering. The government is not concerned that these are human resources that God has given you to develop your nation. If we try to produce 350,000 doctors every year, in another 10 years, where do you think Nigeria will be? And they are available. Brilliant. Brilliant.
So where does this all add up to we progressing in our developmental growth as we speak today?
We are not just ready.
Where are we? Okay, what can be done? Or what have we not gotten right?
It is use the statistics available to develop your country. Look at arable land. 33 million hectares. Niger State alone can feed the whole Nigeria. But who is looking at it? This is the only country in the world where, when we were younger, you put ordinary corn on the floor. It was an experiment in our primary school to grow corn, to grow beans. That is the endowment of Nigeria soil. But where are we today? that we cannot even produce ordinary gari, because nobody is looking at gari as a factor for our national development. The people, they don't need any other thing other than gari. How can we say we are buying a module of gari 3,500? I went to the market to buy 3,500. I say, something will grow at our backyard. What is going with our nation? There are researchers in our agric institution, and we have over 60 of them that are research on all these products, only for you to invest in them and produce. When you don't invest, how do you produce?
But some said that all you have said, well, it's real, but the problem before now to where we are has been a problem of leadership.
Political will.
So, with your experience, and you also being involved, because you are not just anybody that anyone can take for granted, you've played your role and you've played your part. How do we correct this imbalance with the leadership?
That is the luck the country that is called Nigeria has in having a person like Bola Tinubu, whose personality has been growing in the system, who has been a politician all his life. So all these things I'm saying will never be new to him, because he'll be part and parcel of it. But if you can look at the trajectory of all the other presidents we've been having, none of them was a politician. None of them knew what I'm talking about. And it was a deterrent to our growth. When we are even talking, it is strange to them. But believe it or not, we have a chance now to talk to Mr. President. He will listen. To tell him what to do. He's a politician. He's more available for criticism. He's not going to be afraid or annoyed if you criticize him. He will say, okay, sit down. What is your own view? A listening person will have an advantage over a person who is dumb, who does not want to hear any opposition, does not want to hear any other voice other than his own voice. You cannot rule the country alone. There are experts in so many fields that can develop this country.
I can feel
for
you,
Mr. President.
Yes.
Several of them, the young, the old, the middle, the professionals, they are ready to participate, because all their life they have been doing research on development of Nigeria.
But we have all these people before now, and they could have.
Nobody listen to them. Nobody invests in research. Nobody knows that cassava is a product that can lead Nigeria to prosperity. Nobody knows. They know, they will pretend they don't know. You cannot sit down, okay, let us form a committee on production of cassava. How many professors do you have in Nigeria on cassava? Gather them together. This is money. In another 1 year, I want this volume of gari produced. They'll produce them. But where you don't know intellect, intellectual people, people who develop nations, are subjected to the background. You close universities, research centers. Which country does that? These are people who are knowledgeable to advise you. They don't need anything. But when you surround yourself with mediocres, whose only interest is profit.
But if you look at the leadership, let me just reference a point here. At one time, we had a Mr. President who said, yes, it is my duty to appoint ministers, but it is also my responsibility not to listen to them, even if they give me advice. I don't want to name, but I'm just referencing. For such leadership of a president, who should also listen to technocrats' advice, like you said, and it's such a, no, I may choose not to. Would you blame the technocrats for such an error of judgment in not listening for the change to be made?
May not take the advice hook, line, and sinker, but you must listen. You must allow them to participate. You must allow them to contribute. It is not everything they say that you must take. No. but listen to, no matter how stupid somebody's contribution or perception of an issue is, listen to the person. You may be able to gain a little bit of knowledge about what he's saying. But if you say, no, I don't want to listen, I know it alone, you will never succeed as a leader. A leader must listen. A leader must participate. A leader must allow people to criticize you and say, no, you are doing the wrong thing. This is wrong. This is not for our nation. Okay? What is your view? This is my view, this is my view. Okay? What is your own view? You counter this one. Okay. What do we do? Can you prepare a paper for me? Can you do research for me? Can you gather yourself as a committee of professionals in one field and give me a paper? They will do so without collecting money from you.
But we
or can you do a research? I'll give you 100 million naira. Give me a research in another 6 months, 1 year on this product. They will do it for you.
But as I speak with you, distinguished Senator, someone said, as we speak today, in the book or in terms of research materials, that Nigeria is not short of any.
At all.
But the problem is the political will for the leadership of the political structure to channel such referencing of this aggregation of views that have been put together for the good of the country. But rather than do that, it's not been done by virtue of the absence of political will. Do you blame, who can we blame for that shortcoming?
No. If you play a blame game, you are not assisting the system.
If we play a blame game, we are not assisting the system.
Yes. My own view is, what do we do now?
So what do we do now?
How do we solve our problems now? If you begin to talk about yesterday,
we won't
you are
move
not
forward.
a serious person.
Okay, now let us take that now from what you've said. So, okay, what do we do now?
Okay. The problem we have now is power, electricity. There are researchers, there are professors, there are eminent people who have done a lot of research on power production, distribution, and transmission. Gather them together and let them give us options. These things are not rocket science. If you want to do wind energy, we have the coastline where there are maximum use. We can have maximum use of the wind. If it is sun, we have the sun. If it is gas, if it is water, God has blessed Nigeria. We should not be suffering for power and electricity.
Okay, we'll come back to this after this time out. We'll just quickly take another quick break here. And when we come back, we'll take a cue from where we are just queuing out to look at the place of power, the power sector, as a change in narrative that, if well channeled appropriately, it could make the difference in what my guest is saying. We'll be right back after this time.
It's been 2 decades and a half of democratic experience since the inception of the Fourth Republic in 1999. And in commemoration of the day, the Lagos State House of Assembly gathered people from different climes to reminiscing on the essence of the day and uphold democracy, even amidst many challenges.
Our democracy has endured despite challenges and setbacks. We have faced elections, protests, debates, and our commitment to democracy has remained unwavering. We have demonstrated that democracy is not a destination, but a journey. And we are proud to be on this path.
The lead paper on federalism, The Quest for Perfect Union, was delivered by the former governor of Lagos State, Babatunde Raji Fashola, while the chairman CEO, Nigerians in Diaspora Commission, Abike Dabiri Erewa, speaks on the role of women in nation building.
It is, for a federal community like us, a call to nation building. And we must embrace that task with all our minds. It is a noble way to celebrate the sacrifice and the memory of the martyrs of our democracy. So many people have died. I urge us to rededicate ourselves to the task in earnest, and to those who come after us, they will someday be able to look back and say, wow, these people did a lot for us.
Women ourselves, this message is to you. Let's have the courage to do what we have to do. Come out there. You know, if you are doing well in your as a professional, come and participate. Don't leave this thing to just the market woman that will sing for speaker when it's going for campaign. Women speaking up for ourselves and for those around us is the strongest force. We have to change the world. My fellow women, 25 years of democracy, the next 25 years, we can change Nigeria.
In other series of lectures and speeches delivered, it was opined that the significant milestone of democracy is a testament of resilience, dedication, and unwavering commitment of Nigerian people to the principles of democracy and freedom.
Neither the French nor the Nigerians' version of the democracy is perfect, and this is not the point at all. In Nigeria today, people do not forget those who have paid the price, the ultimate price to fight for democracy and human rights. But all those as well who have had the courage and the wisdom to work towards a democratic transition.
You may know that's another parallel between Germany and Nigeria. Germany is also a federal republic with the same layers, municipal, state, and federal level. And again, it's something where we have very good experience with, because it's also a very healthy competition amongst states. You have even 36, Germany has 16 states, but still there's a lot of competition going on between the states, and that's a healthy issue.
As Nigeria celebrates Democracy Day, the occasion calls for a renewed commitment to building a Nigeria where democracy thrives, where every citizen enjoys their fundamental rights, and where the future is bright for generations to come. Olatudo Yusuf, LTV News.
For a long time, generations have focused on the development and growth of the girl child and somewhat neglecting and not giving the same energy to the other half of the globe. The First Lady of Lagos, Sibijoke Sanwo-Olu, is one of the very few people who is bridging the gap with a boy-child initiative to help enhance leadership skills and civic engagements for boys. This time, it is holding a 3-day residential workshop, and it's kick-starting at the Lagos House, Ikeja, for the very first time.
Like our motto says, better informed we do best. When the children or the boy child has more information, they do better. They know the reason why they should do things this way and why they should do things that way.
Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu welcomed the boys to the historic Lagos House, giving details of what it represents in the Lagos annals. He enjoined them to see the opportunity of the boot camp as a divine connection that will help set internal goals to becoming great men in future, irrespective of their backgrounds. Sanwo-Olu says it is a life-changing opportunity, emphasizing that there are no chances of giving up at any point.
It doesn't matter where your parents had come from. It doesn't matter where neighborhood you live. You can achieve whatever you want to achieve in life. All you need to do is to have your head and your brain set into your dreams and into your target. There's no shortcut to life. It's hard work, prayers, perseverance. Perseverance meaning that if you fall down, you get up again. If you make a mistake, you learn from your mistake. That's what perseverance is. Don't give up the first time.
The 250 boys participating in the residential workshop with the theme Awakening the Boy Child Towards Becoming a Change Agent will have them take memorable train rides and experience waste-to-wealth activities at the recycling plant, amongst other activities. Adetola Kayode, LTV News. Mentoring is a dynamic process that fosters growth, encourages resilience, and nurtures the potential within individuals to lead and inspire others. No wonder the First Lady of Lagos, Ibijoke Sanwo-Olu, is using this tool amongst other strategies to help inspire and educate the boy child into having a prosperous future. At the final day of the 3-day residential workshop of the Lagos Boy Child Initiative held at the Lagos State Model College, Mera, the boys had the pleasure of listening to the experiences and words of advice of some big names in various fields in the society. They did not mince words at dishing out nuggets that will make them great in life.
Make a decision to either want to be somebody that is ready to shape people's life positively or to shape it out negatively. I look back, I don't see them as hurdles. I just see them as things that I have to surmount to get to where I am. In life, you'd always face challenges.
You want to achieve a goal, you aspire to achieve a goal, whatever it is, you have to be dedicated to it, committed to it.
Take responsibilities, don't blame government, solve the problem that is closest to you, and your world will open up to you.
For Dr. Sanwo-Olu, the brain behind the Lagos Boy Child Initiative, it is high time Nigerians stepped aside from the norm of training only the girl child, but also pay greater attention to educating the boy child. This drive is to raise awareness on the rights and welfare of the boy child, whilst building a new generation of transformed male children who will contribute positively to the society.
Boys have rights too. The children have rights out there. There's a lot of things that are happening in the society. Sometimes they deprive the boys of doing certain things, they deprive the girls of doing certain things, but we want to correct that notion that they all have rights. You have to struggle as much as possible to ensure that the basic education, secondary education, the child must achieve that. There's no excuse for it. 0 to 18, every child has the right.
Why am I here?
As the 2024 Lagos Boy Child Initiative wraps up, the 250 boys had a great time learning from seminars, tours, and life-changing experiences, which they say is worth the while.
Even in primary school, I have learned about drug abuse. But when you go further, you know that these drug substances, they are way more than things that we just see. It can destroy someone's life. It can destroy the family, the nation, the society, even the economy at large. So I advise everyone out there to stop the usage of drug abuse, because it is something that is going to ruin your entire life.
The opportunity to experience what not many young boys have the opportunity to, and now this is only possible because of the First Lady. She has enabled us to experience so many talks, so many seminars, so many panel sessions that has enlightened us on the right way to go in life.
This is the best experience I've ever had. This is the first day I've seen the First Lady of the Lagos State and our Governor of Lagos State. Advice to my mates to work on your goals and make it in life.
The theme of the residential workshop is awakening the boy child towards becoming a change agent. Adetola Kayode, LTV News.
Welcome back, and thanks again for staying with us. And if you're just joining us, it's Issues and Trends, where we are analyzing critical issues as it got to do with the socio-cultural and economic development of the Nigerian state, and looking politically at the political perspective of this narrative. My guest still again, a former distinguished Senator of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, distinguished Senator Kingsley Senator Ogunlewe. Sir, we must thank you for the time with you. Now, we were talking about the power sector. What will be your submission when you are looking at the role or the place of promoting an efficient power sector and energy sector that could change the narration of growth and development in boosting the economy of the Nigerian state?
We are lucky now that things have changed. In 1979, you know, I was the General Manager, Public Works Corporation. And under Jakonde government, he created Rural Electrification Board. The intention was to develop internal generation, distribution, and transmission of electricity within Lagos State by that body. But there was a constraint in the Constitution.
The constraint in the Constitution?
Yes, that state cannot transmit unless it is not within the grid. And almost 90% of Lagos was within the grid. And that killed that initiative. And it has been with us since 1979. This over-concentration of power at the federal level on what is a factor of production. The most important factor of production, if you talk about the land, the human resource, the water, then power. If you don't have power, there can never be national development. Even God himself did it. Let there be light.
And there was light.
And yes, the first thing he did. So why can't Nigeria think, as of 1979, it was a military dictatorship that imposed that kind of unified system. But now, things have changed. It's for the Mr. President to ask each state, according to their given
ability or resource
to provide electricity for his people within the next 5 years. It is compulsory. No Nigerian should use generator again in another 5 years. That must be a policy because it is inhibiting our growth. You see, when you go to Idumota, 3-story building, every floor has a generator. And that is how they do to sell anything they want to sell. Even if you got them together and say, look, we want to provide electricity for you. Form a company, everybody come and be a shareholder. Today, you get over 300 billion naira. Because they will come and invest. And then
so there is a need to create a very viable power sector that could help drive growth and development.
If you go to Ijora today, ECN, that we grew up with, the facility is still there. Nobody is even looking at it. And it is free land, which can be demolished.
And the structure is still there.
It's still there. ECN.
Electricity Corporation
of Nigeria. That was the only institution that was providing electricity, apart from the one in Jos, for the whole of the country. So, I know Lagos State is doing a lot in this regard, but it must have a timeline. That in another 4 years, nobody in Lagos State will use generator again. Let everybody contribute money. Let us be the shareholder. We have enough personnel. All the banks, all the sellers, all the businessmen buy shares in the company.
All right.
In another 3 years, we will not have one single generator in this state again.
If we can channel appropriate policy trust in that direction.
Yes.
All right. A viable institution, infrastructure is also part of what promotes growth and economic viability of any country or even a state. So the place of infrastructure comes to play here. And I know that at one time, you were the Minister for Works in this country. And that says a lot in terms of what you must have as a policy trust of the then government to have an insight into road construction in the country, and of course to expand road construction development for the good of economic viability in the country. Where can we say we are today if you had to look at that?
We are not doing badly, honestly. Particularly during Gowon's regime. We have 33,000 kilometers of federal highway. 33,000 kilometers. And that is huge, apart from state roads and local government roads. So, but it is maintenance. Maintaining that 33,000 kilometers has been an albatross. And that was why FEMA was created as a maintenance institution for all the roads. So the federal government is now giving them a lot of money so that they can, if they maintain it at 3,000, then we can now do expansion. But where the 3,000 kilometers of road are in very deplorable condition, it's not good for our country.
Who can we blame for that? Because they have
It's
been
funds.
They have been funds before this time. You will agree.
No, no. You see, it can never be funded by the government alone. That was why they wanted to create, toll gates in a
to
few
generate revenue at the time.
Yes, viable.
For maintenance.
There are viable ones that can generate enough funds to maintain those ones. Why the government will now maintain those that are not viable.
But someone would tell you that we are not doing well when we look at road infrastructure in the state, in the country today.
No, well, everybody wants, it's a policy that is defective. Maintain existing ones. Put toll gates in ones that are viable so that we won't have to spread all the money on viable ones. People should be able to pay.
But we've done this before. We can remember the toll gates here at K2 and others. But it was seen as a conduct pipe for corruption, and it was not challenged for that.
Went to the Federation account for distribution. So it was not left for the development of those roads.
Was that what killed it? Was that what
was a factor?
Non-performance?
Non-performance. That was a factor. Where we channel the money. And that is what is affecting all our airports too. How can you say money derived from Lagos International Airport or Abuja will go into the Federation Fund? Who is going to maintain those airports? It's a distortion.
So what should have been done rightly if we create a toll gate? What should have been done rightly to conserve?
It's for the funds to retain for the maintenance of that road.
Not to be paid into the Federation account?
No. So once it goes to the Federation account, it's never come back.
So there's a flaw there.
That's a factor, yes. The other factor was price of petrol. It wasn't to increase it. I said, okay, we cannot be paying toll gate while increase the price of petrol. It was a problem.
At that time?
At that time.
But now you are thinking if we bring that back, it will make a difference in this equation?
It depends on the policy of the government.
But if you are to advise, given your experience and your insight into how the government works, what will be, or if today you are asked to come back as Minister for Works,
no.
I'm just saying, what will you do, or what advice will you, or what policy will you suggest?
It is not for the minister to dictate the policy. It's the party that should now say, okay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 roads will go on concession to the private sector. They will maintain it. They will put light on it. They will have facilities.
All the furniture that should complement
the road. They will have
road.
facilities along the road so that when you drive, you can have somewhere to sleep to the next day. They will provide...
Like other developed countries.
Other countries. But it must be a company that has the concession authority to do that. Government cannot do all. But you can select roads and then let the people pay for the maintenance of that road.
Someone would say to me that I'm not asking you rightly and you're not responding rightly because given even what you've said as correct, but some said that it could be better and it would have been better if whatever concessions that have been before now were well done, were well played out the way it should be. Maybe what we are saying today would have been different. Do you agree with that school of thought?
If a country grows, our own concept is you must solve all the problem at one time. You learn more
as you gravitate.
As you grow as a country. You see deficiency in one form, then you try to rectify it.
Okay,
you can never rule a country all total within 4 years or 8 years, no.
The Calabar-Lagos Coastal Road project comes to my mind here.
Okay.
What is your take on that?
You know, it is not a new project.
It is not a new project
at all.
How do you mean it's not a new project?
I was in the Lagos State Ministry of Works. I worked there all my life. Obi Obembe, engineering company, designed the coastal road 40 years ago. But it is to implementation, funding. It's a very attractive road. The best you can imagine for a country. But how do you fund it? The political will to fund it. That was the problem.
But where
Can
we
you
are
imagine?
today,
You know, we have something like that from Lagos Island to Eleko Junction. That is Lekki. From Eleko Junction to the coastal road. The coastal road, about 70 kilometers, is already there.
so is a right step in the right direction
Perfect.
as we speak today.
Perfect.
But there have been
Perfect.
criticism.
There is no policy that will not be criticized. None. Because of they don't...
Selfish interest?
They don't see it.
Self-centeredness?
No, but no, everybody cannot see it the way you see it. They think it's a new thing. It's not a new thing. It's been on the drawing board for over 40 years. And I've been part of it. Obi Obembe designed it.
So your submission for that would be it's the right step in the right direction.
Total. No debate. But you can't see it. It's a futuristic thing. It is when it is done, you appreciate it.
All right, we must go now, my distinguished senator, thanking you for today. But then before you go, you must leave us with a thought. Put together what submission will you give to us when we look at the state we are in today and the future of this country, that we can do better than where we are today. What is your message or the submission you want to leave us with?
Get researchers to be involved in our national development. There are so many researchers. And they will now formulate policy for the party. Don't allow the minister to formulate the policy for the party. It will not, it will only be of interest to the minister, not to the party. Researchers, our policy, education policy, researchers must get involved. Our industrial policy, researchers must get, they've been doing these things all their lives. Agric policy, don't exclude researchers. Invest more money in research and development, and then you will reap all the glory for the whole country.
We must thank you very sincerely, distinguished Senator Kingsley Ogunlewe, for the time to be here with you. Thank you so very much for the honor. Thank you. Thank you so very much. Well, viewers at home, that is where we will take yet another time out. We want to thank you out there for staying with us. Well, you can please check on our social media handles to connect with us. Give us a feedback of all what you think are your views, and of course messages we'll also take on our social media platforms so that we can further look at the issues of your concern you are raising, and of course get a feedback and still bring it back for discussion on the program. Well, thank you for today. We'll see you again same time next week. Thank you again for joining us.